Welcome back into another exciting edition of Out of Bounds. John, it's the summer. Sports slow down. As much as I love baseball, I do love baseball. But when you get to that July stretch in the year, it's just kind of dragging on. Football's right around the corner. There's some basketball if you really love the Summer League. Marcus Smart and the Boston Celtics did agree to, 4 years, $52 million deal.
Yeah.
So, but we got something very special planned for you guys today. It's our inaugural OOBIE Awards. Now, we're going to give out some cool awards. Best NBA athlete, best NBA team.
Best dressed.
Best not dressed.
I'm glad to see you actually dressed up for the award show. Right? This is supposed to be the show that separates itself from all the other Out of Bounds, and you dressed up.
I think it'll separate itself just fine. So here's the thing. We had a bunch of secret voters. We don't know who the voters are. We don't know if the voters got it right. We don't know if the voters got it wrong. But we're going to see. What?
Could be our friends. Who
Could
knows?
be our friends. It could be our enemies. We don't know. But we're going to debate whether or not they got it right or not. Okay. So we're going to lead this off. We're going to start off with our NBA athletes. So let's start off with our NBA athletes, John. Our nominees are LeBron James, James Harden, Kevin Durant, and Steph Curry. 4 tremendous players on that list, John. Who do you think gets the edge in the inaugural OOBIE for Best NBA Athlete?
Well, you really can't go wrong with any of the 4 athletes, but I think you have to give it to LeBron James, especially the way that he literally carried the Cleveland Cavaliers into the NBA Finals. Really, he brought them as far as he could, leading the team in scoring and his defensive presence, his coaching on the floor as well. I think he brings more to his team than James Harden does to the Rockets, and I think Durant and Curry balance each other out as far as the best NBA athlete goes. It's kind of like when you vote for the MVP. If you have 2 players on the same team, they take votes away from each other. So I think it's going to be LeBron James.
You really can't argue with any player on this team. I mean, the reason why I want to give the edge to LeBron James is I think he's done more with less. I mean, James Harden, he had Chris Paul there, and of course Golden State is pretty much the United States, Olympic team at that point. And there you have it right there. LeBron James, best NBA athlete, goes the inaugural OOBIE Award.
Is there a trophy?
You know what? It's in the mail. It's in the mail. We'll say it's in the mail.
LeBron couldn't make it today, so we'll accept on his behalf.
Yeah, we will accept on his behalf. I know that he's watching. He's a big fan of the show. So, LeBron, congratulations on winning the first ever OOBIE Award.
John, it's a big moment.
I think it's well agreed that we can't complain about this award right here.
No, I think the voters got it right there. LeBron James, like I said, literally brought his team to the finals. And, the only reason he probably left Cleveland is because of J.R. Smith.
Cleveland. All right. We got our NBA athlete out of the way. Let's move on to our best NFL athlete. Now, here's the thing. We might change this a little bit as athlete/player because you see the players on this list and you go, all right, well, some of them are more athletic than others.
Okay.
All right. So our nominees are Tom Brady, Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell, and Drew Brees. 4 tremendous players, but again, we have 2 players on the same team. John, who do you think has the edge in this award?
I'd be inclined to say Le'Veon Bell, but he's been one of those players that's difficult for him to be on the field, and I think 2017 was an illustration of that. I'd probably give it to Antonio Brown. I think that he really helped out the Pittsburgh Steelers in getting to the divisional round game against the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I think he was one of the legitimate threats of the NFL, and when it comes to MVP voting, he's always right up there in the top 2 or 3.
For me, I wanted to lean towards Le'Veon Bell simply because, what was it, last year, 2 years ago against the Buffalo Bills, 51 fantasy points in a giant blizzard up there in Buffalo. I mean, how can you argue against that? But there's still the 4 great players on this team. Tom Brady, as always, is the GOAT of football. But we're going to find out in just a second here who actually got the best NFL athlete. It's Tom Brady, John.
There you go.
You know what, though? Tom Brady, I do agree with it. And he has 5 Super Bowl rings. He's been there. He can bring you from the bowels of somewhere else, as he did with that Patriots franchise, kind of. Even though you had Drew Bledsoe there, and we all know about the hit.
Yep.
That really changed the course of NFL history. But do you agree with the award?
Yeah, the cool thing about Tom Brady is it seems like every year people are projecting him to decline, especially as he gets past 35. But, after 40, it seems like he's just getting better and better and better. And I'm pretty excited to see what happens this year on the field for Tom Brady.
It must be that avocado ice cream.
Yeah.
I mean, every year, you're right, John. Every year, it's all right. When's it going to finally hit? When's it going to hit? He's 39. He's 40. He's 41. I think his body is still there. It's his mentality, as we've seen this offseason. It's been quite the eventful one for the Patriots.
Plus, if you see the pictures that someone took for TMZ, the body is still there, apparently. He's rocking the dad body.
There's a little chubbiness there, but he doesn't have to run a 40 in under 5 seconds anymore. He never really had to in the first place.
He could be the leading rusher. Who knows? Maybe that's the only thing keeping him from retirement. 1,000-yard rushing season.
Who knows? I think he's 30 yards short of 1,000 yards in his career or something like that.
Oh, it could be his last year just based on the rushing record.
Yeah, exactly. And I think he might outrush Mike Vick this year. All right, so we'll leave it off with that. We're going to move on to our best NHL athlete. I know it's been said plenty of times that John and I really like to bore people with our NHL talk, but today we're going to spice it up a little bit with our best NHL athlete. Our nominees are Sidney Crosby, Alex Ovechkin, Patrice Bergeron, and Connor McDavid. Who are you giving the edge to?
I'm going to go with Ovechkin, not just because of the Stanley Cup celebration and the fact he literally slept with the cup, but I think he's one of the most exciting players in hockey to watch. Sidney Crosby, he's more about finesse and rushing the puck down the ice. But Ovechkin, he'll lay you out if he has to. And he's the attitude for the Washington Capitals. And I think the attitude for the NHL. Patrice Bergeron, it seems like he misses a significant chunk of games every year. And Connor McDavid, he's just up in, no man's land pretty much. So I think Ovechkin takes this one.
That's a good call. I personally think it should be Sidney Crosby. He's won more Stanley Cups than Alex Ovechkin. Then again, Crosby has had Evgeny Malkin the whole time, and he had Marc-Andre Fleury way back in the day, obviously, who went to the Stanley Cup Finals this year with the Vegas Golden Knights. But I think it's either up between Alex Ovechkin and Sidney Crosby. We're going to find out in just a second.
With that.
Yeah, go figure. It's actually going to be Alex Ovechkin, John, as the menu said. You know what, though? I do agree with it. He does have that physical side to his game where Sidney Crosby, a lot of people call him a wimp, and he doesn't want to get physical, and if you hit him, he kind of whines about it, and he's that type of player that's always in the ref's ear saying, oh, why don't you give me that call, blah, 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 blah. But I agree with the call overall, Alex Ovechkin, the best NHL athlete, especially just because of his Stanley Cup championship celebrations.
Yeah, he's the best partier from what we've seen after that celebration. I think he did a keg stand with a cup.
Well, that's what happens when you win in Vegas, John. Yep. We had a feeling that no matter who was going to win there, it was not going to be a great idea.
From now on, I think every championship game should take place in Vegas.
Well, the Super Bowl is coming up in Vegas, isn't it? Somewhat, sort of, with the Vegas Raiders coming, making their stadium.
Yeah, it's probably like 10 years down the road. Patriots will probably be there too.
Can you imagine Bill Belichick and having the Patriots in Vegas for a Super Bowl? Imagine how we'd have to handle that.
He'll have to coach on a cart at that point. It'll be like 94.
That's going to be interesting. All right, so we're going to move on to our best MLB athlete now. Can't forget about that fourth major sport. Of course, it's baseball season. Save the best for last-ish, kind of, sort of.
Not really.
So our nominees are Mike Trout, Mookie Betts, Jose Altuve, and Aaron Judge.
Again, I think 4 great athletes, but I'm going to go with Mike Trout on this one. As far as Mookie Betts goes, the thing about the OOBIEs is we're taking track of records from July 17th, 2018, going back to July 17th, 2017. 2017 was kind of a difficult year for Mookie Betts by his standards, I think. And I think Mike Trout has just been kind of going in a flat line here, and his flat line is pretty good as a baseball player. Aaron Judge, he dropped off after the home run derby. And Jose Altuve, I think, is a very close winner there with Mike Trout, but I think I'm going to go with Mike Trout on this one.
You know what? I like a Jose Altuve just simply because it's the little guy. And now a lot of scouts in Major League Baseball don't care about if size really all that much now. Especially when Pedroia came up and now Altuve coming up. He's won a World Series with the Houston Astros. But I like the Mike Trout pick. I personally lean towards Mookie Betts because...
Of course you do.
Well, I already called me a homer a little bit, but I mean, you're right though, John. Mookie Betts did kind of struggle a little bit last year, but I think the first half of this year up to the All-Star break has really made up for that. And we're going to find out in just a couple seconds again that's going to be Mookie Betts. I think last year, even under his standards, and he had a horrible year, he still made it to the All-Star game, batted ninth. This year, batted first. Didn't really go great in his favor, but still the American League won. But I agree with the call of Mookie Betts. I think he is, for the next 5 or 6 years, going to be like kind of Mike Trout. He's going to be in the MVP talks. Hopefully it's longer than that, but I think Mookie Betts is going to be one of the faces of baseball, if you will, now that we're still struggling to find one, now that Derek Jeter's gone.
Oh, easily. And I think at the next contract, he's going to probably make somewhere close to $500 million. But I think with this vote for the best MLB athlete, I think the voters are taking into account most of 2018 and kind of forgetting about 2017. But
He still made an All-Star game.
Right. 2018 for Mookie Betts has been ridiculous, and I think he's going to be a top 2 finisher in the MVP if he keeps going at the pace he's at going into the All-Star break. hitting grand slams and very important key hits. I think he had a couple triples against the Blue Jays.
And what definitely helps me out is that he's on my fantasy baseball team, John.
Oh, go figure.
Yeah, well, it's still, I'm in 4th place, but it's okay. You know what, though? I want to take down number 1 first. You know, I don't want to wait to the championship. You know what I'm saying? No, all right. Well, we'll move on now. We've done our professional sports. Now we're going to go on to our best NCAA athlete. And this is, of course, in all sports. We're not going to limit it to just one sport. So our nominees are Baker Mayfield, Marvin Bagley III, Kevin Abel, and Saquon Barkley. John, who are you giving the edge to here?
I'm going to go with Saquon Barkley for Penn State. Barkley had a huge running touchdown against Ohio State. I think it was the first play of the game off the kickoff. Ran it back 100 yards to the end zone. And I think that Saquon Barkley is a name that, as he goes into the NFL, he's going to be probably one of the best running backs in our recent history for the NFL. I think Baker Mayfield would probably finish second in my voting as far as NCAA athletes go.
I mean, I agree with you. I wanted to lean towards Marvin Bagley, but he's only played 1 year, and I agree with the Saquon Barkley pick. I mean, did you see the pictures that came out after he was golfing? Did you see those legs that he had? Those weren't tree trunks. Those were the whole tree.
Never missed leg day.
All right, we're going to find out in just a second here. It's Saquon Barkley, John. I don't think there's really many surprises here.
No.
I mean, we've seen him in Penn State. I think we're going to see him in the NFL do even better.
And I think the Big Ten is geared more towards the running game as well. So he has great practice against some of the NFC East teams that, as far as defense goes, they're not exactly top tier.
No. All right, so we're going to move on now to our best local athlete. We want to, make sure that we include the local guys in here. So our nominees are Bryce Shaw of Bridgewater Rainham, Rocky DeAndre of Bridgewater State, Megan Kramer of Bridgewater Rainham, and Chanel Melton of Bridgewater State. So, John, who do you give the edge to in the best local athlete?
I think I'm going to go with Bryce Shaw. I think it was right before the King Philip game in the second round of the playoffs. After the game, he told his team, this is what we've been fighting for all this time. I think that he was the emotional leader of the BR Trojan. I think that he converted on a few very important 3rd and short, 4th and short situations. And I think that going forward, he's going to be very important to this country because, don't forget, he is going into the military.
Yeah, absolutely, John. I agree with you 100%. I believe it should be Bryce Shaw. I mean, not obviously the fact that he's going to the Naval Academy is amazing, and we'll find out soon, but who the winner is. But the thing to me is when Bridgewater Rainham had some struggles in the backfield at running back with injuries, Bryce Shaw was the one that stepped up and played tailback, a position that he's not normally going to play, and he did a phenomenal job. But the thing is, he's going to Navy to play linebacker. You thought he was a great fullback and tailback. He's an even better linebacker.
Right, and it seems like his senior year was easily his best season defensively. That sounds easy to say, as you go along, but he was a big difference maker on the defensive side of the ball, like you said.
And the award goes to Bryce Shaw. Not many surprises here. I mean, I just think with the way he played, the way he carried that team, and the way he led that team, no doubt that he should be the best local athlete.
Yeah, I think Megan Kramer is probably second in the voting. So great showing for the BR Trojans here in the inaugural OOBIE Awards.
All right. So we covered our best athletes. We're going to take a quick little break. On the other side of the break, we're going to cover our best teams from the 4 major sports, college and high school. Don't go anywhere. More OOBIE Awards right after this.
Hey, Fozzie, it's really nice out here, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great. Well, I think I got something. Yeah, Kermit, I got... Kermit? That's the 3rd can I caught today. How'd those things get in there?
Well, people sometimes wander by and just toss stuff into the water.
Well, don't they understand how important clean water is to fish in and to swim in and to make a decent glass of lemonade with?
Yeah, we all forget sometimes. Water is something we have to conserve and keep clean.
Sounds easy enough.
If you'd like some free tips from my friends at the National Wildlife Federation on how you can use water wisely, write to Kermit, National Wildlife Federation, Washington, D.C. 20036.
Who are you talking to?
Ed, you've impressed a lot of people here with your ability to do a job. So we want you to help run the new department we're opening. We're giving you a chance as a supervisor.
Me, a supervisor? Well, hey, that's great. But...
No buts. You prove that hiring the vet pays off. Come on, supervisor. Let's take a look at your new office.
The disabled veteran. He's given a lot, and he's got a lot more to give. Contact your local VA or State Employment Service office.
Welcome back to our inaugural OOBIE Awards. As always, alongside with John Luck, I'm Brian Berard. We've gone over our best athletes. Now it's time to go over our best team. So we'll start off with our best NBA team. And our nominees are the Cleveland Cavaliers, Golden State Warriors, Boston Celtics, and the Houston Rockets. John, who are you giving the edge to?
I think you already know who I'm giving the edge to, Brian.
The Houston Rockets.
No, that would be incorrect. I'm going to go with the Boston Celtics.
A team that has won what?
Let's not forget that the Celtics lost Gordon Hayward, a member of the Big Three, just 5 minutes into the season. They lost Kyrie Irving in March. So basically, they made a deep playoff run going to Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals, although they choked. It was with a squad that probably shouldn't have been there. They should have probably been bounced in the second round against Philadelphia. And the coaching of the team, I think, is second to none. So I'm going to give the best NBA team award to the Boston Celtics.
John, let me ask you something.
Okay.
How many years have you been saying Banner 18? And how many years has it not happened? Every single one of them. Yeah. For me, I give the edge to the team that keeps winning the NBA championship, and that's the Golden State Warriors, because even though I know they have a super team, they keep doing what they're supposed to do year in and year out.
I get that, but you asked me what I think of the best NBA team is, Brian.
Let's see.
I'm giving my nomination for the winner, Brian.
Okay, let's see who the voters decided. The Golden State Warriors, John, a team that actually wins the NBA championship.
You know
and
what?
not every single year they have a bunch of scrubs that are, good guys, and they're going to finally get over LeBron James, and it looks like that didn't happen.
You know what, Brian? Sometimes the voting can, get a little topsy-turvy.
Well, here's the thing. We don't know who the voters are.
I mean, someone could have just gotten into the system and went all kablooey.
All we know is that these voters were smart when it came to basketball because they voted for the correct team. They haven't even made it to the NBA Finals since, 2011?
Well, yeah, but they've also had bad luck coming into play here.
Bad luck, please.
If you had Kyrie and Gordon Hayward, they were going to be in the NBA Finals, Brian. You have to admit that.
Oh, yeah, but they still weren't going to win it.
They would have gotten deeper than Cleveland. They would have at least won a game.
Had J.R. Smith known the score of a game.
They would have known the score of the game.
Had he known the score of the game.
At least now we know that Danica and LeBron are now even.
Yes, I'm going to go to bed sleeping nights, because I know that they're going to be best friends.
Maybe you have to worry about your problems if you're thinking about it.
All right, so we're going to move on to our best NFL team. So our nominees are the New England Patriots, the Philadelphia Eagles, Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Jaguars are the Cinderella team. Steelers and Eagles, but I'll give the awards to the Patriots. I think overall they are the best team. Granted, they didn't win the Super Bowl, but I think overall, as far as the whole product goes, from quarterback to coaching to the receiving core, tight end, running back, it's the Patriots hand down. And I think that if it wasn't for that sack, I think we'd be talking about the Patriots winning another Super Bowl, this time at the expense of the Philadelphia Eagles.
The thing, I want to kind of give the edge to the Steelers. I think they have a great team, but an awful coach. I mean, Tomlin to me, he seems like a great motivator, just a crap coach. I don't think he knows how to actually coach when it comes down to crunch time. I think he knows how to get the best and the most out of his players, but I think he makes some really boneheaded decisions, especially when it comes down the stretch of a game.
The funny thing here is we're picking teams that didn't actually win the Super Bowl. They didn't actually win their sport's top prize, and we think there's other teams that can take home the best team. Just saying.
All right, whatever. Well, let's see what the voters say. They believe it's the New England. All right, you know what, John? You finally got one right.
You know what,
Congratulations.
Voters, you're doing great.
Congratulations, you finally got one right. So the New England Patriots, the best NFL team. You know what? It's kind of hard to argue that one. 5 NFL championships since 2001. You have the greatest quarterback of all time, the greatest coach of all time. Kind of hard to argue against that one.
I think if the Patriots weren't there, I think you'd probably be talking about the Jacksonville Jaguars as the best NFL team for this 1 year period.
Yeah, they are certainly an up-and-coming team. So we're going to move on now to our best NHL team. Our nominees are the Vegas Golden Knights, the Washington Capitals, the Tampa Bay Lightning, and the Winnipeg Jets, John.
I want to say the Golden Knights just because of the Game of Thrones opening that they have every night.
That was way too long.
That was awesome to watch.
Way too long.
That was part of the reason I turned into the Stanley Cup final. But I think overall I'm going to give it to the Tampa Bay Lightning, a young up-and-coming team. I think they're a team that the NHL is going to have to deal with for the next 5 or 6 years. The only issue for them is they play in Tampa Bay and the salary cap issue. But I think overall I'd give the best NHL team to the Tampa Bay Lightning.
This is a tricky one. I want to lean towards the Capitals because they just won the Stanley Cup, but I'm leaning towards Vegas simply because they brought that team literally from nowhere, just started up this season, brought up from nowhere and made it to the NHL Stanley Cup Finals, and they almost won it, but they ran into a superior team in the Capitals.
But the thing people forget about the Vegas Golden Knights is it's not exactly like this is an expansion team that just has a bunch of college players. You had Marc-Andre Fleury as your starting goalie.
You did.
These were the players that got cut from other NHL franchises. It's not exactly like you're taking some guy from, BC here. You're taking...
They had a guy from BC on the team, Alex Tuck.
You're taking a Boston Bruin, a Ranger, a Capital, a Penguin. You're taking a couple players from every team here, and it's kind of like the island of misfit toys, but congrats to the Golden Knights for getting to the Stanley Cup final.
All right, and let's see what the voters say. The Vegas Golden Knights, John. I think the reason why they went with the Vegas Golden Knights is because they brought
opening?
not the Open.
Really?
I think it's because they brought that team from nowhere. They surprised everyone. The fact that they even made it to the playoffs, I think, surprised a lot of people and got through to the NHL Finals. But here's the thing. Here, Vegas had a little bit of an upper hand. They cheated a little bit, if you will.
Get it?
Yeah.
Upper hand, poker?
No. Huh. So here's the thing. I feel like a lot of teams, when they went out to Vegas, that was the trip that they took. Hey, let's have the rookies pay for all the guys and go out and get happy, if you will, and drink a lot, and then you have to play a game not at 100%. And I think Vegas just kind of swept up on that, even though they had a pretty impressive road record. But at home, they were virtually unbeatable.
Yeah, don't forget in the Western Conference Finals, I think that series got wrapped up in 5 games. So pure domination for the Golden Knights in the Western Conference Final.
All right, so we're going to move on now to our best MLB team. Our 4 nominees are the Houston Astros, the LA Dodgers, the New York Yankees, and the Boston Red Sox.
It's up in the air for me, but I'm going to probably go with the Yankees. I feel like they maybe got here a couple years too early. I think the dominance of Luis Severino getting the Yankees to the ALCS against the Houston Astros, a Game 7 ALCS. Plus, you have the up-and-coming youngsters there. You have Aaron Judge as well. So I think overall, the Yankees, in my eyes, are probably the best MLB team. But obviously, 4 great choices there.
Here's the thing. I want to go with the Red Sox because I'm a homer. But when you've won 1 playoff game in the last 2 years, I'm sorry, I can't call you the best MLB team. You may have some of the best athletes on your team. You have J.D. Martinez and Mookie Betts and Mitch Moreland. Now you have all these all-stars. But I can't give the nod to the Boston Red Sox. What are they, 1-6 in their last 2 postseasons? They go from worst to first to worst to worst to first to. I mean,
there's a lot of worse.
They're
the best drinkers, though.
Very true. It's like a roller coaster watching this team. It's an emotional roller coaster. The New York Yankees, I love that team. I absolutely love what they have with that roster. I mean, Aaron Judge, to me, though, I think he needs a little bit more consistency, though. Yeah. I mean, he's just a guy that he's either going to hit the ball really long way or he's going to miss. Completely.
We're starting to see that more and more with hitters. The Texas Rangers, Joey Gallo, an outfielder for them, I think he has a batting average of something like 175 and 30 home runs because he's either a home run or a strikeout guy. And I think in these days with, the way players are conditioned, I think you talk about players more like Aaron Judge now, where it's either strikeout or home run.
All right. And let's see, the voters said the Houston Astros, the reigning World Series champions. I understand this one. They were a great team, and they picked up, they had Justin Verlander to come in in the trade deadline last year. Garrett Cole came in. They still have Dallas Keuchel. I mean, they have an amazing team. They have one of the best pitching staffs in baseball. I mean, this Houston Astros team is going to be here for a while, and they're going to make some noise, and they may win an additional championship, or even 2.
Oh, this may be a dynasty that we're watching here with the Houston Astros. Last year, I think it was based more on the offense. They had that 12-12 game against the Dodgers in the World Series, but I think this year is predicated more on the pitching staff with that Verlander-Cole combo. And if this team gets to the playoffs and gets to the divisional series against either the Red Sox or the Yankees, we could be talking about the Astros maybe sweeping.
You're very right, John. I'm very right.
I'm not just right. I'm
very
right.
You're wicked right, John.
I'm super right.
You're very right. You're on the right track, though, John. But I still think we have a team in the Red Sox that could surprise some people and a team in the Yankees that could surprise some people. But this is finally, I just love how both the Red Sox and Yankees are finally good and they're competing for the first place in the AL East. Finally sparks the rivalry up a little bit and gets some ratings going for the Red Sox.
And plus now you have the wild card game that's going to play into some managerial moves by the time you get to September.
Absolutely. So we're going to move on now to our best NCAA team, and that's, of course, in all sports. So our nominees are Alabama football, Villanova men's basketball, UConn women's basketball, and Penn State football.
I'm going to go with Alabama football. There we go. I can say Alabama. You go to the championship game. The quarterback for the Crimson Tide, I think it's Jalen Hurts. I think that's his name. He got pulled in the first half for another quarterback. I think he was a freshman at the time or a sophomore.
Yeah, it was an
but-
impossible name.
Yeah, that's why I'm not even going to say it. It's Tua Tagovailoa or something like that. But nevertheless, you have this guy who really hasn't played at all in college come in and take out Georgia in overtime. To me, I think that makes Alabama the best college team.
All right, as John breaks the floor.
I was just breaking the chair, Brian, that's all.
To me, the best college team has got to be UConn women's basketball. What, have they lost 2 games in the last 25 years or something like that?
They lost a game last year, so that's why they don't get
I think they've won, 8 of the last 10 championships somehow, something like that.
Yes, Alabama.
I mean, what, did they win, 4,000 games in a row? I mean,
112, Brian.
They are a dynasty in women's basketball. I have to give the edge to UConn women's basketball. I know that women's basketball isn't necessarily the most thriving of sports, but Gino Auriemma is what he's done with the UConn women's basketball team. It's unbelievable. I mean, the guy, how many undefeated seasons has he had? I feel like all of them.
Right. I mean, you have UConn women's basketball and Alabama football. They are the best at their respective sports. I'm just saying I would give the award to the football team.
All right, and let's see who the voters gave it to. They gave it to Alabama football, John.
Again, voters coming through in the clutch.
All right, you know what?
They missed the NBA team, but I'll forgive them for.
This is a tough one because I feel, to me, in football, I think it's easier to actually recruit because you're guaranteed to stay there for 3 years because you have to be 3 years removed from high school to even make it out of the NFL, out of the NCAA into the NFL. But for me, I mean, women's college basketball, there's really only a few schools that you're going to go to. I mean, back in the day, it was either UConn or Tennessee. Now it's UConn or Notre Dame or Baylor, South Carolina. But you know, the voters disagree with me. Okay, it happens. It happens. You know, not everyone's going to be as red as I am.
You just don't know the people like I do.
All right, you're the one that wanted to say that the Celtics were the best team.
You know what? Sometimes we have disagreements, Brian. That's what makes sports great.
All right, now we'll move on now to our best local team. And our nominees are Bridgewater Rainham football, Bridgewater Rainham girls basketball, Bridgewater State men's basketball, and the Bridgewater Badgers youth football team.
I want to say the Badgers, but you know, the BR football team, I think they were very impressive. They took a senior-laden team. They basically mowed over half of high school football to get to the King Philip game. And really, if it wasn't for that drop pass on 4th down, we could be going back to Gillette Stadium. But nevertheless, I'd give it to the BR Trojans football team.
The thing about that team is Bryce Shaw was injured in that game. Corey Sullivan was injured in that game. Jeff Ciccio was injured in that game. You're kind of relying on a lot of injured players. And the thing with Corey Sullivan, it was his plant foot that was injured. So he really couldn't get a lot of mustard on his throws.
But still, even with the injuries, getting the team to within a score with, 2-3 minutes left to go on 4th down, you know, that was a gut check for them.
See, to me, it's BR girls basketball. They had, I think, a 16-game winning streak. They went all the way to the South Sectional semifinals. They just mowed through every single team that they played this year. And, you know, they had a good group of senior girls. And they have Kaya Collins going to the Coast Guard now. Good for her. Another BR person going into the military. But we're going to see who the voters decided was the best local team. That's the Bridgewater Badgers.
That makes sense.
That does make sense. They went to the Pro Football Hall of Fame National Tournament. They won the first 2 games. What were they? Maybe 2 games away from playing in Canton, Ohio. I think they've won the last 5 Super Bowls. They haven't lost a game up until then in the last 5 years, I believe. Bridgewater Badgers football, I mean, this is the reason why you see BR football have this continued success. And the Rainham Giants have had some success too, but the Bridgewater Badgers are best local team.
And it's a great community effort as well. I feel like Bridgewater Badgers have a packed house every single game, which is pretty cool to see. And that Pro Football Hall of Fame tournament that you were talking about, they shut out their first 2 opponents, and they also had Andre Tippett give them the invitation, which was pretty cool to see.
That's a pretty amazing thing. So we've gone over our best teams, gone over our best athletes. On the other side of the break,
Best host.
we're gonna give away our own little personal awards. So don't go anywhere. More OOBIE awards right after this.
Just get in and talk about it.
I've got to go home.
Oh, come on, Carrie. We're going to a new place.
She wants to go home, right? Let's go. Yeah, whoa. You okay to drive?
Yeah, I'm fine.
You sure?
Relax.
What's a few beers?
If you don't stop your friend from drinking and driving, you're as good as dead. Drinking and driving can kill a friendship.
One day these rats were playing in the woods. Well, it's some matches and that's no good. Listen to smoke before you give it a try.
Only you.
Don't play with matches. Don't play with fire. Cause there's nothing very funny about a freaked out fight. Nothing very nice. just force. It's what you desire. Don't play with matches. Don't play with fire. Yeah.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Fire.
Welcome back to the inaugural OOBIE Awards. Alongside with John Luck, I'm Brian Berard. We've given up some awards for best local teams, local athletes, college teams, athletes, the professional teams and athletes. Now we're going to give away our own awards. There's no voters here, John. It's just our decisions.
I like this. I like having the power, Brian.
Yeah, all right. So we're going to start off. Over the last 20 years in Boston, John, what was the most impressive championship that you've seen?
Well, call me original here, but I'm going to go with the 2001 Patriots. Obviously, the first Super Bowl in Patriots history that they won. But you think about the lead up to that game. Drew Bledsoe gets hurt, so then you have Tom Brady coming in that maybe played, 2-3 minutes in the preseason. But then you go to the playoffs against the Oakland Raiders. You had the tuck rule game, so you have to hope that the referee favors that call in your favor. Then the championship game, the AFC championship game, Tom Brady gets hurt. He gets taken out in the second quarter. Drew Bledsoe comes in. He has to carry the football team into the Super Bowl. And then, by the way, in the Super Bowl, Tom Brady leads the Patriots on one of the best 2-minute drills in NFL history.
This is a very impressive championship, John, but for me, it's got to be Super Bowl 51. You come back from 28-3, and that solidifies you as the GOAT. That solidifies this franchise as one of the greatest dynasties that we've ever seen. John, I mean, when you're down 28-3, a lot of people said this game's over. There's nothing. There's no way. I personally believed. You were there. You witnessed me believe. All right. Some of the people we were watching the game with gave up, like you. John gave up.
Whoa. How did I give up?
You gave up. John gave up. I witnessed it personally. He said, I give up. I did not give up.
I think I was just talking to you in a conversation, and I said, I give up.
Yeah, see, well, that's all the proof I needed that John gave up. I didn't give up. I believed. You come back from 28-3 down in the third quarter. It's not like it was, before halftime. And remember, I think at halftime, what was it, 21-3, and then Tom Brady threw another pick six to start off the third quarter. And you go, can this game get any worse? And I said, they're going to turn this around. All it takes is one score, get that momentum on their side. And that Atlanta defense was absolutely gassed at the end because that hurry-up offense that the Patriots had. And look, I'll admit that part of it was a little bit of a choke. If you have a 28-3 lead in the third quarter of the Super Bowl, it's not all choke. You still need a remarkable team to come back and have the mentality to think they can come back. And then you get it to overtime, first Super Bowl ever to go to overtime, and then you get the game-winning touchdown. To me, it's still Super Bowl 51, and always will be Super Bowl 51.
If you think about the Patriots in 2001, though, they were the legitimate underdogs. In Super Bowl 51, they were the favorites. I mean, you have Tom Brady, Rob Gronkowski, Julian Edelman, Bill Belichick. You should win the Super Bowl. Granted, they slipped up, had some lapses, but I think 2001, that was the true underdog effort. They were taking on the greatest show on turf, Kurt Warner, Marshall Faulk. In my eyes, 2001 is what started the Patriots as they are now. If they lose that game, what do we think about the Patriots? What kind of personnel decisions would they make? Would Belichick still be the coach? Would Brady still be the quarterback? If 2001 didn't happen for the Patriots, who knows where we'd be at right now?
Look, that last team, I'll give you had Gronkowski and Edelman and Brady, but back then you still had Brewski, you had Brian Cox, you still had Ty Law, you had one of the best defenses in history on that team.
And a 5-11 record the year before.
Exactly. But if you come back from 28-3 against Matt Ryan and Julio Jones in that game, that's still impressive to me.
It's a BC quarterback. Of course he's going to.
Oh, please. We'll stop with that right there. We're going to move on to... Well, John, I can't believe we're saying this in Boston. What is the least impressive title that you've seen?
Oh, you're going to love this one, Brian. The 2007 Red Sox. They were tied for the best record in Major League Baseball with 96 wins. They had one of the best pitching staffs in baseball as well. You look at the starters, Beckett, Schilling, Lester. You had Daisuke in there as well out of the bullpen. But your closer as well, don't forget, is Jonathan Papelbon. They steamrolled through the LA Angels or Anaheim Angels, whatever they were called at that time. Then they got to the Cleveland Indians. That was a 7-game series. They almost choked that one away, but in Game 7, they beat them 11-1, I think it was, and then they just kicked the Colorado Rockies' teeth in. So they were just a steamroll, and I think when you look at all the other sports and all the other championships, there was that one shining moment that stuck out as the moment of the season. Yes?
Let me get this straight.
Okay.
The best team in baseball wins the championship, and that's not impressive.
I'm saying there were other moments that stuck out.
They proved that they were the best team in baseball, and that's not impressive. Best record, best players, and it still doesn't impress you.
Most boring playoff run. It was all
most
blowouts.
Boring playoff run, please. Here's the thing. My least impressive championship is the same team, different year. To me, it's the 2013 Boston Red Sox. Now, before you get down my throat, I know what happened in April of that year was devastating to the city. But when a team goes from worst to first, back to worst, to me, that championship is just a flash in the pan. There was just nothing there. That team was not a World Series contending team. They rallied around a cause, and I believe, what was it, the year before or the year after, whatever it was, when John Farrell had to leave because of cancer, that team finally played for something. To me, that roster was like, really, the World Series was enough to play for? Something else has to happen. And they haven't done anything since. Especially, like I said, they went from worst to first, back to worst, and they kept being awful. And then you finally got back to the playoffs last year, and John Farrell decides to finally, in Game 3, put in his best offensive lineup, and you're sitting there going, this team's a joke. So to me, it's the 2013 Red Sox.
Well, it was based more on walkouts, and I think that was a more exciting season, and I think excitement is what makes a season impressive. So that's why I think,
I think winning makes it impressive.
You know what? Winning doesn't really matter, Brian.
All right,
and I mean, and plus, you look at the personnel for 2013, but when you got to 2014, a lot of those players weren't there anymore. Don't forget you had signed the likes of Pablo Sandoval, Hanley Ramirez, and players like that right after that World Series.
Yeah, but still, that was the same team the year before that did nothing.
And they finished last, okay.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so this one might be a little painstaking to some of us, but if you could change the outcome of any game in the past 20 years in Boston sports history, what game would it be and why?
As a Celtics fan...
jeez.
Yep, here we go, Brian. Get ready. Green teamer here.
Boy.
It would be Game 6 of the NBA Finals when Kendrick Perkins blew his knee out and went down because, don't forget, at that part of the series, they were up 3-2. The Celtics were up 3-2. They just had to win one of the final two games, and they lost one of the most significant rebounders in Kendrick Perkins, so then you had to do some jumbling around with the bench. If Kendrick Perkins was healthy for Game 6 at least, I think the Celtics are 18-time champions, and I could be complaining about Banner 19 going to the rafters.
To me, I know that you're a big Celtics fan, John, and I don't care if you're a big Celtics fan, Bruins fan, Red Sox, Revolution, whatever. The answer has to be Super Bowl 42. The chance at a 19-0 season on the line. That year's defense for the Patriots averaged giving up 17 points. And that Super Bowl gave up 17 points. That year's offense averaged scoring 35 points in a year. They scored 14. Only one other team in NFL history has gone undefeated, and that was the 72 Dolphins. We all know, 16-0. But no one has ever gotten the chance to go 19-0, and I don't think you'll ever see that opportunity ever again. I would love to have seen that game overturned and the Patriots go 19-0. Because then, at that point, you truly solidify yourself as the greatest of all time back then.
I think talking about these championship moments just hurt.
They do.
The Celtics, the Patriots.
All right, so we have two more things that we're going to bring the voters back in for, John.
They're allowed back in.
We're allowing them back in. They were, let's say they had a 2-minute penalty and they had to go to the penalty box. How about that?
For what?
I don't know. For not agreeing with us sometimes.
They agreed with me more than you.
Well, you also voted for the Celtics.
All
right. So we're going to vote for now our best overall athlete. Out of all the athletes that we've seen, actually, we're going to go with best team, I guess. So we're going to go with best overall team.
Some good producing here, Brian. Way to go.
So we're going to go with our best overall team. Out of all the teams that had won our awards today, John, who is the best, according to you?
It pains me to say this as a basketball fan, but I'm going to go with the Golden State Warriors. The way they went through the playoffs and the finals run, I think Golden State is probably your best overall team. Plus, you basically had the Monstars on one team. They whooped Cleveland up and down the floor in the NBA Finals. If it wasn't for J.R. Smith, it would have been done in 5. But just a pure domination of this squad.
Hard to disagree with that one, John. I mean, the Golden State Warriors have done what they've needed to do, and they've won all the championships. I don't think it's going to be a surprise, but the winner is the Golden State Warriors.
It's kind of anticlimactic, the way that we're introducing the winners here.
Yeah, well, you know
more
what?
fanfare.
Look, here's the what do you want? Like balloons and sparklers?
Maybe confetti falling from the ceiling.
I don't think we have that in the budget.
Oh.
All right, so now we're going to go with our best overall athletes. So, John, out of all the athletes that we've given the awards to today, who is the best overall athlete?
Well, let's go down the list here. I'm going to probably say Tom Brady. Again, at his age, doing what he's doing, that's unheard of. And I think he's probably a once-in-a-generation type of superstar, the way that he just continues to get better. And I think I kind of take what's happened in the past and use it to what's going to happen in the future. I can't wait to see what happens with Tom Brady.
Yeah, John, that's hard to argue with that one. Tom Brady is the best football player that we've seen in pretty much history. I think a lot of people still compare him to Joe Montana. You can still make that argument, who's better, Joe or Tom, but you're right, John. I give the edge to Tom Brady, but let's see if the voters agree with us. LeBron James, John. LeBron James. The best basketball player ever.
What are you doing here?
And it's been to what, 10 straight NBA finals? Something like that?
It helps having the referees, David Stern, Adam Silver, all in your pocket.
Oh, right. Yeah, exactly. But you know what, though? Still, LeBron James has done a lot with nothing. He had a guy in J.R. Smith that can't read a scoreboard.
You know what? Who can read numbers nowadays, Brian?
Reading is hard. Well, John, that was fun. Our inaugural OOBIE Awards.
Actually, Brian, there's one more award.
There's one more award.
For those who may not know, today, the day that we're filming this episode, the OOBIEs, is Brian Berard's birthday.
Oh, well, thank you, John.
So there's an award that we have to give out here.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. For the best artist.
Jingle bell time is a swell time. We should be good to go. You are my fire, the one desire. What? Merry Christmas from the bottom of my heart.
So, yeah, that happened.
You know what, John?
The cool thing is...
Not my fault I have the voice of an angel, okay? And I have to let the people know.
I don't know if that's the voice of the angel, Brian. Good thing there's Facebook comments. We can hear about that.
I can't believe I got railroaded on my own show. Again. I was falling into these traps. Don't worry, John. I'll get you back.
That's why your birthday is after mine. Because now you have to try and remember this for like another 50
Oh, no, I'm not going to do it for your birthday. I'll just do it on a random day.
Well, it was fun on Out of Bounds. I guess I'm out now.
Well, even though I've been blindsided yet again on my show, it was still fun.
On your birthday, too.
Yeah, on my birthday. I'm glad that I work with some amazing people that will just do that on my day of birth here, okay? I can't believe this. But whatever. But you know what, John? Fun time having the inaugural OOBIE Awards. We'll definitely have to do it again, and I'll have final say over the script, and that way I'm not going to be bamboozled with any surprises. So for the final time for John Luck, I'm Brian Berard. Thank you for watching the inaugural OOBIE Awards.